You're listening to the Millennial Veteran Podcast, Episode 1, Bowe Bergdahl.
It will happen on a Sunday. It will begin with a great sound. From the ground to the sky and from the sky to the ground. Smoke like mountains and ashes at your door.
Welcome to the Millennial Veteran Podcast, an advice show for the modern veteran. I'm your host, Kris Poole. The Millennial Veteran Podcast is produced weekly with show notes found at millennialveteran.com. If you like the show, please go to iTunes, subscribe to the show, and rate it. You can also follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Google Plus for information about upcoming shows. All right, so let's get started with today's show about Bowe Bergdahl.
My name is Mr. Hyde. I do look like an angel, but there's a demon inside. First, an excitement.
This morning, I called Bob and Janny Bergdahl and told them that after nearly 5 years in captivity, their son Bowe is coming home.
We don't leave our men or women in uniform behind.
Qatar today, the 5 members of the Taliban the U.S. traded arrived at an airport to hugs and smiles.
The Obama administration facing harsh criticism in some corners this morning over its backdoor deal with the Taliban to bring Sergeant Bowe Bergdahl home. Many of the critics, members of Congress, who were never consulted about releasing 5 Gitmo prisoners who are labeled as the worst of the worst.
We shot deserters at one time. Why would we give up 5 prisoners that are terrorists for somebody that doesn't even care about us?
I'd like to say to Bowe right now, who's having trouble speaking English, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Zayabayem. I'm your father, Bowe. The people of Afghanistan, the same. Khalifa al-Thani, the complicated nature of this recovery will never really be comprehended.
Man, Bowe's dad could not have said it any better there at the end. I mean, this case just blew up overnight. Like, right after the president and Bowe's parents came down to the Rose Garden and gave that press release, the media was like crazy over there, like, yay, Bowe's free. And then like a switch. Like, oh, no, Bowe's a bad guy. And everyone was pissed. All right, so now we're just going to go through some of the facts and figure out what actually happened here. Robert Beaudry Bowe Bergdahl was born in 1986 in Idaho to his father, a commercial truck driver, and his mother, who homeschooled him. Apparently, it's boring enough in Idaho that Bowe had a bunch of nerdy hobbies, like fencing, martial arts, and ballet. Yes, ballet. Now, I kind of feel for Bowe on this one, because when I was in high school and middle school and elementary school, I played the violin. So when I joined the Marines, it was kind of an embarrassing hobby. Like, I didn't really want to tell anybody about it. So I don't know if he actually told anybody about it or if I'm like putting him on blast right now. But, I feel for him. At one point in time, Bowe even worked on a ship that sailed down the east coast of the Caribbean. In all appearances, it appears that Bowe was setting himself up to be like a badass pirate. Fencing classes, ballet to be light on his feet, sailing a ship in the Caribbean like Jack Sparrow. Like, honestly, I'm a little bit jealous of his childhood. In 2006, Bowe took his privateering to the next level and enlisted in the Coast Guard. After just 26 days, he was discharged with an uncharacterized discharge. I'm fairly positive these discharges are what we used to call in the Marines like a failure to adapt discharge. They're typically reserved for someone who just doesn't fit into the culture of that military branch. Now, if you can just imagine Bowe showing up for basic training in the Coast Guard and, unpacking his bag, and he takes out, like a little sword, some buccaneer boots. He's got like some sort of dreadlock wig and like one of those like 3-pointed hats. And the commander was just like, what the... And then, like, he just got kicked out. It's like, too bad, Bowe. The Coast Guard doesn't let pirates in. Pirates cannot join the Coast Guard. All right, the facts. In 2008, Bowe joined the Army and graduated from infantry school at Fort Benning, Georgia. All right, this is kind of interesting. So in 2006, he joins the Coast Guard, gets kicked out. 2008, he joins the Army. Army's like, yeah, cool, you can stay. And like just like that, he's in the Army. They give him a gun, and he deploys to Afghanistan. Wow, good job. Good job, military. You guys can't just like talk to each other? I don't know. May 2009, he deployed to Paktika Province, Afghanistan. All right, and now if you look, Paktika Province is in the southeastern Afghanistan, south of Kabul. June 2007. June 27, 2009, Bowe sends this email. All right, at this point in the story, I'm a little bit confused because I didn't know people still sent emails in 2009. I'm pretty sure everyone was using Facebook by then. So I guess I don't know if these emails are made up. I'm pretty sure they are, but whatever. All right, so this email was in the Rolling Stone article, and it's to his parents. So it says, Mom and Dad. I'm just going to read some of the highlights. Mom, Dad, the future is too good to waste on lies, and life is way too short to care for the damnation of others, as well as to spend it helping fools with their ideas that are wrong. I have seen their ideas, and I'm ashamed to even be American. That's my Bowe Bergdahl voice. And the title of U.S. soldier is just the lie of fools. The U.S. Army is the biggest joke the world has to laugh at. Yeah, I guess so. The horror that is America is disgusting. There are a few more boxes coming to you guys. Feel free to open them and use them. All right, that's the end of the letter. All right, what was in those boxes? All right, I was in Kabul, the capital. There was like nothing worth sending home. Like there's some carpet stores there and like some cool little like trinkets. But like this is at the capital. He's not at the capital. He's in like a little outpost in like the middle of nowhere. And there's like stuff that Bowe wants to send home that he's already sent several boxes home, and he's only been there like 5 weeks. I mean, a lot of people think that he was sending his stuff home, getting prepared to leave. I don't know. What was he preparing for? Who knows? On June 30th, 2009, 3 days after that email was sent, Bowe Bergdahl is captured by the Haqqani network, which is aligned with the Taliban and Al-Qaeda. Fast forward. Hopefully I can get some fast forward sound effects in there. May 31st, 2014, President Obama and Bowe's parents hold a press conference announcing the release of Bowe Bergdahl in exchange for 5 Guantanamo Bay prisoners. If you saw the press conference, you'd have noticed that Bowe's dad looks pretty unique. I guess during Bowe's captivity, his dad wanted to appeal to the Taliban and the Afghan people, so he just started letting his beard grow out, speaking Pashto or Dari or whatever. So if you go to the website millennialveteran.com, we'll provide a link there to the video, but it's definitely worth watching how crazy Bowe's dad looks. It's also cool to point out that during the press conference, like a boss, Bowe's dad sneaks in some of those Pashto Dari words. I don't know what he was saying, but it's pretty ballsy to say something like that with the president right there. Just 6 weeks after his release, Bowe was back working a desk job and back on active duty. Now, it's really tempting to think at this point, like they're just like, well, they let him go. They let him just work and do, go on liberty, like go shopping and do whatever he wanted. So, I mean, to me, it's kind of tempting to think that there was like, some sort of blonde CIA agent just like following him around, like she's like attracted to him, but at the same time, she thinks he's a terrorist. Like you could probably make a TV show about it. It'd be pretty cool. After public outcry, mainly from those angry veterans on Facebook with those annoying memes that are like, this guy wears a football helmet and gets paid more than this soldier that wears a Kevlar helmet. Sheriff, you think this is wrong. That's my angry veteran voice. Bowe Bergdahl was eventually charged with desertion and misbehavior before the enemy. I didn't look into what the misbehavior before the enemy charge is, but it just sounds like the Army sent a letter home to his parents that's like, Bowe didn't behave in the Army. Priceless. As of this podcast recording, September 23rd, 2015, I think we're still waiting for the decision on the case. I'll provide an update after I look into it a little bit more, but as of right now, they're still trying to decide what to do about the case. All right, now on to the theories. This is the best part. Why did he leave the base? If you've ever been to Iraq or Afghanistan to a U.S. military base, it's not easy just to leave the base. Like number one, like you have to intentionally leave the base. It's not like, I'm outside the base. No. And then number two, it's ridiculous to think that he would have just like gone off base casually and then gotten picked up. Like, you're going to get captured if you're out walking around by yourself. I mean, it's ridiculous to think that he did it by accident or that, everybody else did it and he got captured. I don't know. There's some crazy theories out there. All right, the first story is from Bowe. He said he was lagging behind on a patrol and he got captured. This was disproven right away because the Army showed that they didn't even have a patrol out when he got captured at night. The second story was that Bergdahl was drunk on base, stumbled outside the base to relieve himself. The group that captured him even went to the extent saying he was squatting down, relieving himself. I mean, that's just like number one, you're not allowed to drink in the military overseas. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm not saying I never witnessed any of it firsthand, but like, it's not normal and not everybody's doing it. And it's against regulations. Number two, I don't think anybody would have shared their booze with Bowe. He sounded super annoying, especially the way he's writing that letter if he actually talked like that. I mean, I don't think anybody would want to share their booze with the platoon D-bag. And then number three, like, if you're going to have to go to the bathroom, why would you go outside the base? The third story, which sounds most plausible, is that Bowe Bergdahl was a crybaby and wanted to get the attention of some generals by running away from his base and forcing people to look for him. If you're overseas in Afghanistan or Iraq or wherever, and there's a service member that's lost, like the immediate priority of all the units in that country is just to go look for him. Because we don't, like, it doesn't matter who it is. If someone gets lost in the military, we don't leave people behind. So this definitely would have happened. And that's exactly what happened when Bowe ran off base. So pretty much he had some sort of little gripes. I don't even know what the gripes are. Some petty gripes with the unit leaders that he knew better. He'd been in the Army for a year, so he knew a lot better than his leaders that had probably been in for years. And the way he was going to get people to know about how bad his leadership was like a little baby. He was going to run off base, and then everybody's going to have to look for me. So that's exactly what he did. A grown man in a U.S. Army uniform, fuming because he thinks people are picking on him, just is like, I'm going to run away. That'll teach them. Runs off base and then gets picked up by a terrorist group. Wow, that escalated quickly. Well, I guess he got his way. He's been talking to a lot of generals about his petty issues lately, and he got exactly what he wished. So if you're like a lower ranking service member, and you think your sergeant or your captain isn't doing the right thing, here's what you can do. Here's what you can do to get some help. 1. Run off base, preferably in a Middle Eastern country with terrorists. 2. Spend 5 years in captivity. 3. Get traded for some high-level detainees, piss off the entire country. And then 4, you get to talk to the generals about all your complaints. It's that simple. What happened in captivity? All right, I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not going to claim to be. There's no actual evidence of exactly what happened in captivity. But I'll share a couple theories about what happened. Initially, many people saw a frightened man who had been captured by a terrorist organization that was being held for ransom. In subsequent videos, Bowe talks about how the U.S. shouldn't be in Afghanistan and seemed to be adapting well to his custody. It's really damning that his email before being captured and his disillusionment with America led him to leaving base and then being captured by an insurgent group. All right, this is where I'm going to note. Right now, if you were to be captured and someone were to look through your Google search history, I mean, just imagine what sort of conclusions they would come to. I mean, I couldn't even imagine if someone went through my search history or like just looked at some of the stuff I posted when I was in high school, or whatever, and was picking through my life like I am right now. And they could probably draw all sorts of conclusions. But in Bowe's case, it looks like he joined the Taliban. I mean, he said he hated America. He didn't want to be American. He didn't want to be a soldier. He left base on purpose and then went over to it and got picked up by a Taliban group. Now, I'm not saying there's any validity in this argument. I'm just saying that's what it looks like from all of his actions beforehand. Trading the Guantanamo Bay prisoners. Many people criticized President Obama for releasing the Guantanamo Bay prisoners for Sergeant Bergdahl. In many ways, people are upset that a person who intentionally put himself in danger was praised a hero and traded for 5 top-level detainees. Republicans tried to impeach President Obama over it, but nothing stuck. All right, like, the whole thing's ridiculous. So, like, this little crybaby, Bowe Bergdahl, made an international incident about his little tiny gripes. It probably had to do with, like, which shift he had on post. It's like, hey, Bowe, you gotta stand post. They're like, oh, I always stand post at night. And then it escalated into an international incident. And, like, we lost 5 top-level detainees in a trade. We looked like idiots. And then the worst part is that people died trying to save him. So we had people leave to go capture, to go get him. And there was troops that died trying to save his life. But it was like his fault in the first place. So yes, in conclusion, it is okay to hate Bowe Bergdahl. He's completely to blame for all of his trouble. Because he let his little gripes turn into like an international incident. Ridiculous. I'm Chris Poole with the Millennial Veteran Podcast. If you like the Millennial Veteran Podcast, please go to iTunes and subscribe to instantly receive new episodes. I'm looking for listener questions too. If you'd like to be featured on the podcast, send an email to millennialveteran@gmail.com. Message Millennial Veteran on Facebook or tweet to me @VetMillennial.
There's the devil inside.
Okay, this is an edit to the original podcast. When I taped, I hadn't, checked the latest news, But Serial, the podcast, will be covering Bowe Bergdahl next season. I'm a complete fan. I hope you guys go check out the Serial podcast with Sarah Koenig. It's amazing, and it's going to be a really exciting next season. All right, see you guys in the next show.